Hey everybody, Alex Kazora, SteelersDepot.com, back with some more Pittsburgh Steelers preview and prediction for this Sunday game between the 8-3 Pittsburgh Steelers and the 4-7 Cincinnati Bengals. This game in Cincinnati, a big game for both sides, so let's talk about it. Before we start, if you guys could like this video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. Would really appreciate that. So let's jump on in with the Bengals offense. Clearly the better side of the two. Number 7 scoring offense, a team that certainly can score at will, that has some big-time talent at quarterback and at wide receiver. Let's start, though, with the run game, the offensive line. New running back in there, so used to seeing Joe Mixon. Chase Brown, their lead runner, really has become their one and only running back after Zach Moss got hurt midseason. They did acquire Khalil Herbert a couple weeks ago. He's played a little bit, but not much. It really has been a Chase Brown show. He's got 80% of their snaps the last 2 weeks, 20 carries in the last 2 of his 3 games, and he's a different dynamic type of back than the Joe Mixons of the world. He's a speedster. He's a space guy. He can run tough in the middle, but he's certainly someone that has to be reckoned with out on the perimeter. The screen game he gets involved in. He's got 35 catches this year. He's got 5+ receptions in each of his last 3 games, 50+ yards in his last 2 games, and he's a guy that just needs a crease. The run game, schematically, I don't think it's really that different with Brown as it was with Joe Mixon. It's inside-outside zone, a little bit of wham, and some kind of duo, up the middle type stuff. They use the tight ends kind of like a fullback. They got a guy, Drew Sample, that's kind of in that quasi-lead H-back type of role. Kind of reminds me of Ryan Hewitt from maybe a decade ago, is kind of serving that multi-purpose fullback-ish type of role, but, wearing a tight end's number. So Pittsburgh, I think, can still stuff the run, but can you just make sure that those perimeter runs and those screen games don't become the big hitters? That's going to be the concern, because Brown has the speed to take one to the house. The pass game, obviously, is the big-time challenge for Pittsburgh, and Joe Burrow's having an MVP caliber season. May not be in actual contention because of the record and the circumstances, but 27 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, lowest sack rate of his career, second best adjusted net yards per passing attempt of his career, and so it's obviously a lot riding on him, and he knows how much this game means to the Bengals. They're 4-7. If they want any prayer at all at making some sort of miraculous playoff run, they have to essentially win out, and that starts with winning on Sunday. Jamar Chase is having an unbelievable season. He's, 3rd in receptions, 1st in yards, 1st in touchdowns. He's a true 200-yard plus potential kind of guy. Always tough to take those guys away. Pittsburgh, to their credit, does a really good job of minimizing the impact of star players, but Chase is one of those top-end guys where it'll be a big challenge to do, not just from a skill set standpoint, and I imagine Joey Porter Jr. is going to shadow him in this one, but Chase lines up everywhere. He'll play outside, he'll play number 2, he'll play number 3 in the slot. He's in the backfield in some of their RPO type stuff. He even lined up as a fullback against, I think it was the Ravens or the Chargers. I think they were trying to run like kind of a fullback leak to him. It didn't work out off of play action. So you have to identify where Chase is first. It's that blend of a big-time talent with big-time versatility. And so, yes, you can sit there and say, okay, Porter takes Chase. That's all well and good. But if you do that, you're going to be in a lot of unique situations. How do you put Porter on Chase when he's the fullback or when he's the running back at a split back? And so there's a lot of little challenges, not only with Porter moving, but then other guys moving to compensate for where Porter's going to align. So that's kind of where it starts, is that matchup, but not just covering Chase, which is its own task, but identifying him as well. And then on the other side, T. Higgins, that's a big-time matchup too. He's not been really that healthy this year. This will be his 7th game of the season, but he is a highly involved, impact kind of guy. He's got 10 targets in half of the games he's played in this year. And if Porter's taking Chase, then you got Dante Jackson seeing a lot of T. Higgins, and there's a big size mismatch there. Higgins at, 6'4", 6'5". Jackson is not that big, obviously, and I think he's regressed a bit the last couple of weeks. So it's not just Chase, they're the other guys as well. In terms of the schematics, watch out for those 15-yard dig routes, those, X digs from Chase or sometimes from Higgins. They'll try to just run that deep in cut and, trust their guy to either be big like Higgins at the catch point or Chase burst away at the top of the route. They run a lot of play action, especially on 2nd down, and so they're going to try to take some shots on 2nd and short and try to go for the home run ball. They use a lot of false key play action or trap protection where the guard's going to pull, give the appearance of a gap run, but it is play action. And I don't know if they're going to do that quite as much in this game. Their game plan may have to tweak some because What they usually do is they go 5 out in the route. They're doing 5-man protection, and they're doing some of those trap play fakes too. But against TJ Watt, do you risk some of those things where on those trap protection schemes, the guards blocking the pull side defensive end? A lot of cases that would be TJ Watt if the left guard is pulling. Do you only go 5 protection because you're sending everyone out into the route? And so those are some risks I don't know if you want to take when you have a rookie right tackle, a talented one, but a rookie all the same in Amarius Mims. But TJ Watt obviously has to have a real impact game in this one after a pretty quiet performance against the Browns in week number 12. So, and I worry about, not that I worry about TJ Watt, it was one bad game, but okay, it happens. I do think Watt tends to struggle a bit more against the guys he just knows less about, the guys he hasn't faced as often, the rookies with less tape, with fewer tendencies, less of a scouting report to build off of. But Mims is a big guy. He's talented, but he's like 6'8", and so can Watt get under him? That'll be key. I imagine the Bengals will be using the screen game early too. Mike Tomlin talked about that at his Tuesday press conference, 23 screen passes against them the last 6 games. It's almost 4 per game. Well, that's designed to slow down the rush. And again, when you have a speedster back in Chase Brown, you can really utilize the screen game. Well, I think Pittsburgh's defended the screen game really well. No one talks about that the last five or so games, but that'll be another component to try to slow down that pass rush. Defensively, the Bengals unit has not been particularly strong. They do a nice job of keeping a lid on things. They don't allow a ton of explosive plays in the run game or pass game. They're just not getting a lot of stops. And so the run defense, they will run this bear or this 5-2 front on early downs on 1st and 10 in particular. And Pittsburgh has struggled against that, trying to find some space and find a gap. I think you can run on those guys. They don't really have any big people up front. BJ Hill's a bigger guy, but he's not playing like he did last year. And they have been run on consistently. But I think Pittsburgh can have to make sure they can really block things up at that first level. If they can't, things will be tough. If you can get through that, then you're going to have some measure of success. From a coverage standpoint, the Bengals do a nice job of mixing things up. It's hard to get a real good tendency and feel for their coverage style. They really run a little bit of everything. And so I think it's going to be a lot of post-snap reads and adjusting to some of the rotations they do. And they got some veteran safeties back there like Von Bell. But can you attack those corners? No DJ Turner, he's, I think, done for the season, not going to play in this game, and so it's Cam Taylor-Britt, who's been very up and down, and Josh Newton, a 5th-round rookie from TCU, making his first career start, and so can George Pickens come up large. I imagine you're going to see some moon balls, but if I'm the Bengals, and I think most teams should do this, and we're seeing this pick up against Pittsburgh, is you play more too high, you take away the deep ball, and you force Pittsburgh to win a different way. That means middle of the field. That's why Calvin Austin had success against Cleveland, and the run game must get going when you're facing too high. You're not facing some of those stacked boxes. And so I think until Pittsburgh can show they can really win consistently by countering in those ways, teams are going to keep playing too high to take away the moon ball, to take away George Pickens downfield. I think just briefly before I make my prediction, what team adjusts better game plan wise? I mentioned earlier the Bengals, I think, will have to tweak their personality some. I think Pittsburgh defensively, a lot of single highs, their personality and coverage. Will they have to play more too high to protect against Higgins and Chase and do some of the bracket coverages they're likely to have to do? So which team kind of handles being out of their personality, being a little uncomfortable, likely wins this game? And then just red zone as well. Pittsburgh 30th in red zone offense, the Bengals 31st in red zone defense. So something's got to give there. Hopefully that's on Pittsburgh's end, but that's a big, matchup to watch. Two struggling red zone units, Steelers offense, Bengals defense. Who comes out on top? So for my prediction, I'm going to go with the Bengals in this one, 25-20, kind of a funky score. I think somehow the Bengals try to make it 27-20 on a failed 2-point conversion. We'll see, but that's my prediction. I went back and forth on this one. I'm not feeling incredibly confident picking Cincinnati in this one, but I just think the offensive firepower they have is really, really impressive. I think Pittsburgh in the secondary has not been as buttoned up recently. Pittsburgh has shown more warts on the road in terms of personnel issues and substitutions and just playing a clean, solid game across the board. Pittsburgh does have the 10-day mini bye, but the Bengals are coming off a full bye week, so that kind of becomes a wash as well. And I just think, again, I know Pittsburgh really wants to have this game, but the Bengals know their season is literally on the line in this contest. If they drop this one, they go to 4-8, it's blouses. The game is over. The season is over for them. And so I just think you're going to get a really good version of Cincinnati off their bye, and they're going to win this game. So drop your score prediction in the comments below. Appreciate you guys watching. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And of course, check out the site, SteelersDepot.com. We'll have full coverage after the game on Sunday and throughout the week. So thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.